Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our June 2nd West Perth Council meeting. And here we are, we're into June already, so year's pretty half gone. Anyways, before we get started, we're missing Dan, who was here earlier, but he's a bit under the weather, and so he's going to join us on Zoom. And our librarian, Rosemary, is also going to join us on Zoom as well. And I think that's got it, hasn't it? Yeah. So we will get started here, but just before we call the meeting to order, I would ask that council and our guests, if they so wish, we will just bow our heads for a moment of silent reflection. Okay, thank you. So first item on the agenda then is confirmation of the agenda. And I guess I should ask, is there any additions to the agenda tonight? No, no additions. Okay. So then the motion that we have is that the Council Municipality of West Perth accept the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Rose, seconded by Councillor O'Donnell. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Does anybody have a conflict of interest with anything on the agenda? Okay, don't see any hands going up, but if you do as we go along, you can declare it at that time. So we have a number of items on the consent agenda. I believe 8 to be exact. Is there anything there that anybody would like a little more explanation on or would like pulled and dealt with separately? If not, I don't see any hands. So motion would be that West Perth accept the consent agenda items. Oops, sorry. Question?
Through your worship, I just wanted to call attention to the motion or the letter from Town of Blue Mountains, reduce provincial tax rate on Ontario-made cider. We have so many orchards around this province that are actually getting past their age for being used properly for eating apples in the grocery store, but they're still the right age to be used for other purposes. And rather than, it'd be nice to have this supported so that we could see more use of our actually established orchard stock already.
So would you like to support that?
Support that if we could. Yes,
We'll
please.
pull it. We'll pull it out for now if you wish.
Thank you.
And we'll approve everything but that, and then we'll come back to that. And I have to admit, I kind of wondered that, like they should be fair and on an even keel with some of the other alcoholic beverages that are there. So, okay, so we'll pull that out. That is number 7. So is there anything else that anybody wants dealt with? So what we'll do is a motion to accept 4.1 to 4.8 with the exception of 4.7. So a motion to accept the consent agenda, moved by Councillor Foster, seconded by Councillor Vink. Any questions? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And so the one that Andrew has pulled out in the Town of Blue Mountain with regards to the cider, you can give us a little bit of a prelude again, if you wish.
Just very briefly, we have in Ontario rather a number of overaged apple stock. Essentially, after a tree is a certain age, it doesn't produce quite as well for grocery store sort of purposes. But we have hundreds of these orchards scattered all over the place. And if there was another use that they could be put to, and having cider more economical to produce would certainly be one of those purposes. Or if only from the perspective that if you drive around our area and you look at the apple trees in the ditches, we have like 1,000 different varieties of apples. Every single tree tastes different around here. And it'd be nice to see more use of that bounty of natural resources that we have in the area be available to be used by entrepreneurs. That's why I'd like to see that motion supported.
Okay, so it's moved by Councillor Fournier. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Duck. Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? The only thing I can add, it would put it on the same taxable level as the craft beer ones, and I don't see a big difference, to be honest with it. So, okay, if you're ready for the question, all those in favor of that motion that we support it? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on, delegation. Um, they're on Zoom. I meant to say that. Here I am, I'm looking around the room. But we do have Jamie O'Leary and Rachel Cannon from the county and as a delegation on the Perth County Joint Accessibility Plan, the annual status update. So I will turn it over to the two of you. And we don't have Rachel on here, do we? We do? Yes, okay, all right. Rosemary. And I'm thinking, okay,
Good evening. Quick audio video check. Everyone can hear and see me okay?
yep, it's good.
Perfect. Through you, Mayor Mackenzie, and to West Perth Council, good evening. Thank you so much on behalf of my colleague Jamie O'Leary and the county. We are so happy to bring you our annual accessibility update for the year 2024. I can go ahead and share my screen. I think that might be the best way to do that. Give me one moment. Okay, so as I said, both Jamie and I are here tonight to present to you our joint accessibility update on behalf of the county. Of course, take note of that word joint. Jamie O'Leary was very instrumental in creating this update. It is a joint update, which means it's very collaborative, working with your staff, all the lower tier clerks to make sure that we're gathering all of the information required for this update. So thank you very much for your staff's engagement and participation. I know we have very important work, so I'm just going to get right into the presentation today. So tonight we're going to be covering our legislative requirements with regard to accessibility. We're also going to be talking about Perth County's JAC. We wanted to give you a really quick snapshot of what the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee was up to in 2024. And then finally, we're going to just end it with some accomplishments in 2024 and then our goals for 2025 and beyond. And we're going to do that both at the lower tier level for West Perth. We'll do some highlights for you, and then at the county level as well. So just a reminder, our guiding legislation when it comes to accessibility here at the county is through the province of Ontario, and that's the AODA, the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. Under the AODA, we're mandated collectively to have an accessibility plan that's updated at least once every 5 years. So you may recall my colleague Tyler Sagri and I toured around a couple years ago with that sort of bigger plan update, and that involved some public consultation, a lot more of a sort of overhaul of the information that you saw before you. In a subsection of our legislation, the accessibility plan requires, and the province of Ontario requires, that we provide an annual update with regard to our progress with that plan. So that's sort of the roadmap, that plan. And then tonight we're doing our annual update to make sure that we check the box in providing that comprehensive update of the work that we've completed to date in 2024. Okay, so I am going to pass the torch over to Jamie for this slide. She is, a piece of her portfolio at the county is actually administrating the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee, which again, we're mandated by the province to have just based on our population size. The Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee is made up of members of the community with lived experience, and you do have a couple members that sit in West Perth, and all the lower tiers have a member of the community that sit on that advisory committee. So Jamie, if you want to go ahead and give us a picture of what they did in 2024, that would be great.
Thank you, Rachel. Through you, Mayor. So as Rachel said, the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee, it's made up of representatives from the lower tier and members of our community. In 2024, we actually had quite a bit of work. I did want to note last week was actually National Accessibility Week. It's usually the end of the month in May. So you probably would have seen some information about that go out. There's usually a toolkit that's circulated. So just some really good information in that. And then to note, the JAC completes site plan reviews for all the lower tiers. And in the year 2024, we did 12 site plan reviews. We convene a subcommittee for that with at least one person from that host municipality being on the subcommittee. And then we provide those written feedback reports as well back to the lower tier. In 2024, we actually created a working group, and it was created with two initiatives. One was to review the PC Connect rural route, which obviously has since been discontinued, but there was some really good work done there, some really good tools created with the group. And then now they're in the research gathering phase for the potential to initiate a stopgap initiative across the county. So really good work there, really good conversations being had, lots going on. And I'm sure if anything comes of these things, you guys will hear. And then we had our 8 regular JAC meetings. So we're mandated to have between 8 and 10 each year. And last year we had a total of 8. And thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Through you, Mayor McKenzie. Just a reminder that the JAC, while it is held at the upper tier, they are always more than happy to provide any feedback or sort of that perspective and accessibility lens when it comes to any of your projects at the lower tier as well. Just reach out anytime to clerks here at the county, and we're happy to connect you or your staff with the advisory committee members. Okay, hopping right into our 2024 accomplishments. So lots of great work going on at the county level in terms of accessibility. Again, sort of pulling these out of our roadmap of that accessibility plan. These are the notable accomplishments, not comprehensive of everything that you see before you, but some of the highlights. Last year, we remediated our entire website. So all of the content was pulled down, remediated to ensure that it met all of the accessibility requirements with regard to the WCAG 2.0 standard, and then re-uploaded. That was just in time for the provincial deadline of January 1st, 2025, and we did report to the province that we are fully compliant. Moving forward from that, we were able to implement a workflow to make sure that any content that's being published moving forward, it is fully accessible, and if not, that we're remediating it before it's being published to the website. Next, we had a majority of the physical renovation being held at the 1 Huron, 5 Huron building. So a lot of progress being made physically in that building, including some accessibility features being installed in there, like an elevator, some differing counter heights, some power buttons, and we also have a ramp inside as well. So making sure that we're accessible to the public and to those who are going to be working in that building every day. Archives also continue to make really great progress on their digitization project for historic newspapers from local hamlets and villages from Perth County, which allows for greater access both in person and online, especially for those who might need to access that content with something like a screen reader or some sort of piece of technology that would help them to read that information. Finally, we provided some training sessions to county and lower tier staff, highlighting one here, hosting accessible events and meetings. Moving into 2025 and beyond at the county, we're looking to continue our work with staff and departments as we ourselves are physically transitioning into that new space at the 1 Huron renovation build. We want to make sure that that space is not only functional, but that it is accessible to the staff that are moving into it, and that we're making the adjustments as needed as we're moving into that building. Next, planning staff is updating their applications in digital forms to make sure that they're accessible both at the county level and then also at the lower tier levels. So any planning forms that you're finding digitally and filling out, those in the hopes by the end of this year, those are fully accessible. Finally, we're offering some additional training in 2025 for relevant accessibility topics for lower tier staff and internal staff here at the county. My colleague Jamie O'Leary actually just completed one in May on accessible documents, both remediating accessible documents and creating them. She has since pulled the recording and circulated that with your clerk. So if you would like a copy of that, that is readily available should you wish to learn more about accessible documents. Okay, the stuff that we really care about, West Perth. So this is all the great information that your staff has provided us through their template. This is the work that was completed in 2024 as reported by your staff. So the West Perth Library staff noted that they're offering new Wonderbooks audio read-along and sing-along collections for children to ensure that reading is more accessible to your entire community. You're also performing or did perform a building condition assessment, which included an AODA compliance review for public facilities. This is a really great piece of work because it's something that you can look back on as you're working on renovations or upgrades to those buildings over time, just to know sort of a starting point in terms of AODA compliance. Your staff also noted that they installed benches along the walking path at Ketterson Park, allowing for more accessible rest stop areas and places that people who may need to take a brief pause in terms of mobility are able to just have a seat. And then finally, your staff noted that they designed and implemented an accessible policy document template so that all of your policies moving forward are completed on that template. Moving into 2025 and beyond, your staff are looking at doing some great continued work on accessibility. These are just a few things, again, not comprehensive of what's before you, but just a few highlights that we wanted to note. You are also working on a website redesign that's focused on accessibility compliance and ongoing improvements with regard to accessibility. Your staff is developing wayfinding signage for recreational trails to ensure that you enhance accessibility for your entire community. And finally, you're working on a health and safety program manual update that will account for accessibility requirements. Okay, not going to take up any more of your time. Both Jamie and I are on the line. If you have any questions tonight, we will do our best to answer and to field those. If we aren't able to answer those tonight, we're more than happy to do the research and bring that back through your clerk. James will make sure that we get that sent back to you. So with that, thank you very much for all of your work on accessibility over the last year and your continued work moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Rachel and Jamie. Any questions for the two ladies? I don't see any. Oh, I do see one hand up. Go ahead, Councillor Fournier.
Well, I had one simple question, one also simple question, actually. For transportation standards, we were required to have something to do with taxis and accessibility to the Perth County Connect network, but I don't think we have a bus stand and we have no taxis. I know we've talked about taxis before, but have we considered having anywhere out of the rain where people can wait for the bus? I'm not even sure where it stops here in town.
We, excuse me, we really don't have a bus in town anymore. We're working on it. But
Doesn't PC Connect still come to town every day?
No. No, it was done, yeah, April 1st, I guess.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Well, in that case, it's a moot question, I suppose.
And your second question?
My second question was simply that the court services, it mentions interpreters in two different places in the documentation. And I was wondering, is that strictly for someone who has a different language? Or is that also for people who might have some sort of mental difficulty with language? For example, people with a brain injury could find it very difficult both to communicate and be communicated with. Is that one of the court services that you mean by accessible formats and interpreters or not?
Through you, Mayor McKenzie, while I'm not POA, I will do my best to field the question. Yes, so it does mean alternate languages, including ASL, if they require a sign language interpreter. In terms of cognitive deficiencies or working with people in that way, POA would do their best. I'm not sure if the interpreter, if that language is meant to mean that 100% in the update, but it is something that they would work with the person who is coming to court and might need additional accessibility considerations.
Is it possible to request a follow-up on that? I'd be very interested to see if we do have that sort of service available around here, if you could follow me up with that later.
Yeah, absolutely. Through the mayor, we can absolutely get that information. And like I said, we'll circulate that to your clerk for sure.
Any other questions? Okay. If there are no other questions, then we do have a resolution here, a recommendation, and it is that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth approves the Joint Accessibility Plan Annual Status Update for 2024. Do we have a mover and seconder for that? Councillor Phelps and Councillor Fournier. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. So thank you, ladies. Very good. Very good.
Thank you very much. Have a great meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on then, we do have Justin and Ricky here from the Perth County Economic Development and Tourism, and they're going to give us an update as well for from 2024 up till 2025. So the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. So through the mayor, good evening to Mayor McKenzie and members of West Perth Council. So pleased to be joined today by my colleague Ricky Zhao to update West Perth Council on our 2025 Economic Development and Tourism Program. So the report provided in our presentation will highlight some of the projects initiatives that have been completed, some that are underway, and also what's planned for the rest of the year to give Council a good understanding of what we're up to. And the goal is to keep Council and stakeholders informed and engaged as partners as we deliver on our priorities identified within our by County Council and our strategic plan. So next slide, please. So hopefully by this point, myself and Ricky here and Meredith and our team are no strangers to you, but there are 3 other additional staff that we have joining us for the summer. So this summer, we're pleased to have Olivia, Aaron, and Paige as summer students. So they are helping us with our many activity initiatives, including lots of stuff in our tourism division over the summer. So really grateful to have them. As well, not pictured is Shannon Landreth. So she recently joined on a short-term contract over the summer as we have 2 maternity leaves within our department. So some new faces on our team, as well as some familiar faces, hopefully. Next slide, please. So our strategic priorities that are identified within our Perth County Economic Development and Tourism Strategy are on the screen there. And these are really the framework and the guiding pillars by which we deliver the work plan here. So that's going to be what we're going to frame our presentation around. Next slide, please. So business retention and expansion and attraction. So this really is at the center of our economic development activities. And what is it? It's all about supporting existing businesses and attracting new ones. So it really is at the core of what we do. So the report outlines the variety of initiatives and projects that we've identified within this priority area, and also highlights some of our initiatives planned for this year. So one of the key initiatives that we've delivered here is the Prosper in Perth program guide. So I know Ricky has distributed that to you folks. And it's also something that we're delivering anytime we meet with a business. We want to make sure that we're putting this guide in their hands. It highlights a lot of the, not all, but most of the services that we can offer to businesses. Things like our business tours, our Planted in Perth County features, our Prosper in Perth, or our People in Perth County employee spotlights, information on training opportunities, economic data that we can provide, workforce supports, as well as connections and resources that we don't deliver, but are delivered at the regional level by our partners, Stratford Perth Center for Business, Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, and others who provide funding to businesses. So it really is designed to be a one-stop shop, a menu of sorts that we can provide to our businesses to really outline and make clear for them the service that we offer so that they can take advantage of those services. On the business attraction side, so we do continue to leverage our strong relationship with our federal and provincial trade representatives to engage companies that are looking to locate to our area. We also leverage our relationship with the Southwestern Ontario Marketing Alliance and funding through the Canada Export Community Initiatives to provide us with access to a steady supply of qualified leads. So these are companies that have expressed an interest to coming to Canada or Ontario, and we work with these leads to try to bring them here to Perth County. Great. Next slide, please. In terms of the people and workforce development as well as workforce mobility, so these priorities are initiatives that are focused on helping to support our employers with their workforce needs. So this includes those initiatives that are designed to help attract and retain workers, tools like our workforce attraction and retention employer toolkit, training opportunities that we deliver, and other resources for employers. So it really is a number of tools that we provide to help businesses attract and retain employees. Things like our Work in Perth County tools. So those are our job board, our regional job map, and our labor market information that all provide employers and job seekers with information about what's going on in the local labor market or to helping them find a job. On the workforce mobility side, so I know I mentioned a PC Connect and rural route that's no longer running was mentioned earlier. But in spite of this, we still remain active in many regional conversations around transportation, providing referrals to the existing or the continuing PC Connect routes, ridership data to our partners, and who are looking to fill transportation gaps. So as a pilot, the service did generate a lot of data about transportation demands and needs. And we want to make sure that data is available to other partners who are looking to fill the transportation gap. So that's something that we're continuing to do to support that workforce mobility, helping people get to work. And I will pass it over to Ricky to talk about some of the tourism initiatives.
Awesome. Okay. Through the mayor, I want to say happy local food week to everyone. And just in time for this week, 60,000 Explore Perth County brochures have been delivered to mailboxes and distributed across local hotspots, visitor centers, municipal offices, and key tourism destinations, both locally and in target markets. So you have those brochures with you right in front. This refreshed edition puts Perth County's these deep agricultural roots in spotlights with vibrant visuals, inspiring itineraries, and updated content to help you plan visitors' next rural getaway or hometown adventure with ease. Promoting Perth County as a tourism destination continues to be a priority for the team. Several strategic marketing campaigns are currently underway. We are currently working with several social media and content influencers. We also have a full page ad in the Globe and Mail, Explore Ontario section, and there are several advertorials highlighting our Discover More Flavors programs participants, including the Bakery Trail, Farm Gate Map, and Signature Experiences. So part of our tourism and economic impact study, we have realized theater enthusiasts have been officially identified as a target market. We have known this and have since been advertising for the past 8 years with the Stratford Festival. New this year, we have purchased advertising space at the print at home tickets. We continue to market the summer fun guide with our summer fun guide en route plazas, travel information centers, and other major attractions, hotels across the province. This is just a snapshot of our current marketing efforts. New this year, you'll find 10 new photo frames and 2 customized photo ops at key photo-ready locations. In West Perth, we have the West Perth Wetlands. We have also engaged with the Avon-Maitland District School Board to construct 10 farm stands that have been offered to all farm gate participants and will be distributed based on a first-come, first-served basis. Signature experiences, we continue to work closely with businesses to develop future experiences. Our Discover More Signature Experiences program provides expert one-on-one guidance, content creation with professional content creators, professional photography and videography, ongoing marketing promotions and campaigns to Perth County business looking to create or enhance an immersive experience. Late last year, staff designed a signature experience program guide, which you also have in front of you. The Signature Experiences Program Guide is a practical resource designed to help businesses develop, refine, and evaluate unique visitors' experiences that reflect the distinct character of Perth County. Whether you are looking to enhance an existing activity or to create something new, this guide walks you through key considerations to help ensure your offering is engaging, authentic, and market-ready. This guide includes step-by-step prompts, best practices, and examples to support businesses in identifying their unique story. Defining target audiences, align with seasonal opportunities, and integrating booking or promotional tools. It encourages a thoughtful approach to creating experiences that go beyond products or services, offering visitors hand-on memorable experiences that build deeper connections with local people, places, and culture. And one thing I wanted to mention is the Henry Street Art Tunnel. Under the Shareworthy Moments project, the county has worked in partnership with the local organizations and the municipality of West Perth to fund and revitalization of the Henry Street pedestrian tunnel. On June 13th, students from the Mitchell District's high school will incorporate existing art and paint over any inappropriate markings central to the community's focused expression of what West Perth means to them. The public is invited to visit this tunnel and take part of this event from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. I'll bring it back to Justin.
Next slide, please. So just to wrap up, looking ahead, so I wanted to bring council's attention to a couple of upcoming events. The first is our Rooted in Success Agribusiness Networking Mixer. So this is on June 25th. We're hosting it at Lynn River Farms. And the idea is to bring together businesses of all types, including agribusinesses, to engage in some networking, understand and have some presentations, fireside chats about some opportunities that businesses have found in partnership and other ways that they can, really just work together with other Perth County businesses to build some connections, develop new products or new partnerships. So that's a drop-in event on June 25th, and hope to see you there. And then the second event is our experiential tourism training workshop. So that is being hosted in September, so a little ways away, but asking folks to mark the calendars early. And the purpose of that, this is our second of this type of training, is to help businesses understand what is required to become an experiential tourism location and support them in that development. So one training opportunity, one networking opportunity upcoming to mark your calendars for. And then in addition to that, I put a little blurb here about the tariff survey that we have ongoing. So in the face of tariffs, we continue to engage with our businesses with workshops, surveys, local trade, and market diversification webinars and things like that that we're sharing to make sure that our business community is supported with the most up-to-date and impactful information as it relates to the tariff environment. And then lastly, just in terms of the tariffs and also just our work plan. So we always maintain a broad range of partnerships with our membership through the various boards, associations, committees, and other partnerships to make sure that we are at the right tables and contributing to those conversations about things like tariffs, workforce, housing, transportation, and the local economy, all with the intention of supporting our businesses and keeping them at the center of our activities. So that's just a quick overview. There's, again, much more information within the report, but just wanted to have an opportunity to share that with council and be available for any questions.
Okay, thanks, Justin and Ricky. Any questions for those two? Councillor Fournier, go ahead.
Through your worship, in the overview at the beginning of the document, it specifically mentioned several priority areas: destination development, marketing, business retention, people and workforce development, and affordable housing. Reading through that first paragraph, I sort of expected an explanatory paragraph about affordable housing, but instead you have, I believe, workforce mobility instead of affordable housing. Do you have details on what exactly you're doing to promote secondary units being developed in this area? And more importantly, when it says employer initiatives, because it says particular focus on secondary units and employer initiatives in terms of developing affordable housing. When it comes to employer initiatives, I'd be interested in getting a bit more information on who exactly is responsible for inspection of those units, because I suspect that we're actually talking about bunkhouses for foreign workers being brought in to do farm work in the area. If I could get some idea of who does the inspecting, what level of government that is, because it says in various places in legislation that it could be provincial, upper tier, or lower tier. I'd like to know who does that and how often. I've worked with quite a number of immigrant farm workers in the past, and in some circumstances, they're not put in good circumstances. So finding that paragraph in here could be a good thing, depending on where they're living, could be an absolutely terrible thing that we're promoting if we don't have sufficient inspections in place. Proceed.
Okay, yeah, so through the mayor to the councilor's questions. So in terms of inspections, that is not within our realm as economic development tourism. So that would be something that would be presumably a building department inspection. So we're not involved in the inspection of that. What we do in regards to employer-driven housing initiatives. So our workforce attraction, retention, employer toolkit is one area where we share best practices. So there's a library of things that other companies have done from other spots in Ontario. So companies that have supported employers with mortgages or other programs that are that workforce where employers have been involved in workforce housing. So we're providing the kind of the platform to share that best practice with other employers who register and access those resources, but we're not providing those direction to employers ourselves. So we're providing the tool or the resource. That's like in regards to the workforce housing component. And then I think the other part of your question was regards to,
Are we offering, for example, in Perth County, a concierge service to help people through the various legalities of developing a secondary unit on their property, as some other municipalities do offer? What exactly is it? An advertising campaign? You can do this now. What are we doing on that?
Yeah, so through the mayor. So that is again not something that we offer at the economic development division. So that would be, I think the front door for a secondary unit would be either the building or the planning division. So in regards to what we're doing, so we're part of the zoning bylaw review process that's being undertaken across all 4 municipalities with the new official plan to help harmonize and bring some of those policies into place. So as a member of that working group and committee, our role is to really make sure that those workforce housing and other affordable housing for workers primarily, which is our kind of area is included within the new policies, new zoning bylaws within that process. So that's where we are involved in those kind of policies and processes through the new zoning bylaws just being undertaken now through the county.
Other questions? I don't want to throw Matt under the bus, but with regards to residents or housing for farm workers, and Justin did mention that, but that's covered through the building permit, and you would be inspecting them as the time went on and they were progressing through the development stage. So, yeah. The other question, I guess I was going to have you explain, and again, it comes back to Council Fournier about the bus. And there is still some transportation within Perth County. If you just want to highlight that or kind of explain that a little bit, it doesn't come through West Perth, but there is a bus available within Perth County.
Yeah, so through the mayor, there is still 3 Perth County Connect routes that continue to operate. So those run from Listowel to Kitchener-Waterloo area. There's one that runs London, St. Mary's, Stratford, and there's also one that runs from Stratford to Waterloo. So those are the 3 existing PC Connect routes that continue to operate. So that's kind of the existing PC Connect routes. The rural route, which did service Mitchell, again, is no longer running as of April 1st due to the end of that pilot funding. So yeah, remaining transportation services, folks can still get, outside of the region, but they'd have to either use a taxi or some of the services available through the West Perth community, the mobility bus and things like that to get to one of those stops in either Stratford, Listowel, or Stratford and Listowel. It's a bit too close to the location of St. Mary's to get on a PC Connect bus that takes them outside of the region.
And just for a little further update, Ames will give us a bit of an update, but I'm going to say it was likely be 2 months ago. We brought it up to this table here about looking into a bus coming. I got a frog in my throat tonight. A bus from Listowel to Mitchell to Stratford, I believe. And James, I'll just let you update on that if you wish.
Through the chair, thank you. Yes, and actually, we're going to call upon CAO Hobson to make a few comments as well. And I believe he will just address that staff are working on a transit partnership with North Perth there. But please bear with us a moment as we bring Dan onto the screen here. Thank you.
I don't think I'll be camera on tonight, but I think James pretty well covered the update from the transit system. We are in some early conversations with North Perth to extend that service through Mitchell and back to Stratford. I did want to jump in more or less to speak to the concierge service for affordable housing that was mentioned by Councillor Fournier. Those were some of the initiatives that we put into our housing accelerator funding application that we were not successful in. We also did include in that application the development of pre-approved ADU units that a member of the public could come and get and implement, and everything was pre-planned and pre-approved that way. So again, that was part of that grant program that we were unsuccessful for. Some of this stuff is included in our housing, our community improvement plan, and we look forward to bringing that to council in 2026 as part of the budget process. And I don't mean to throw Mr. Burns under the bus either, but I believe now with some building code changes, there are some approved additional dwelling units, or that's coming through either the county or the province. I can't recall. I apologize.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Any other questions for the 2 gentlemen here? Justin?
Yeah, through the mayor, I'm just going to make one more comment about the transportation. So I have been contacted. I know Municipality North Perth has already engaged in the transit needs assessment. So as part of that process, they have requested data on the service and where it was stopped, where it was well utilized, and information about passengers on and off. So through that process, we've shared information on how the service was used across the county, including in West Perth here. So that information has been shared, and their transit consultant will take that in developing that report. So.
Okay, good. Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship, through you. I just one comment and then one question. So the comment was, both Ricky and myself had the pleasure to meet with Andrew Davis last month at Mitchell District High School. Mr. Davis is the technical director for the carpentry program at MDHS. And Ricky mentioned about the farm stands being constructed for the farm gate food program, and some of those farm stands were being made at MDHS. So it was our pleasure to meet with Mr. Davis and the students and congratulate them on their work, thank them for their participation and contribution to the community. And then my question, it would be for Ricky. Could you mention something about the classroom module program that was set up by Perth County Economic Development for the use of the high school educators towards preparation and training and education for youth into different career pathways?
Yes, through the mayor. If we can just get back the presentation, I think in Bjarni or the one with the word right there. Yes, perfect. So to the councillor's question, or the deputy mayor's question, this Perth County Careers Exploration Toolkit is really made for teachers to use in the classroom. This 3-part education lesson plan allows students to get to work through this kind of workbook of different type of industries within Perth County and explore what jobs we have in our county and how they can use that in the future so that they can essentially plan ahead to go with this go with this career in the future.
Okay, thanks, Ricky, and through you, Your Worship. This is a new program that was developed by Economic Development staff, and it's a selling point, I think, for the county, something of value. If at any time that ratepayers wonder why the Perth County tax rate might be going up, it's going towards creation of programs like this through staff initiatives, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Any other questions for Justin or Ricky at this time? Okay, good. Well, I want to thank you for the update. Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. We don't have a resolution for that one. We don't. No, we don't need one. Okay, no, that's good. All right, moving on then, our next item then is the Director of Operations, and it's the pedestrian safety review. And call on Adam to update us on that.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship, Council. In 2023, the municipality of West Perth retained the services of True North Safety Group to conduct a pedestrian safety review focused around our downtown area in Mitchell, as well as the school zones around the Francis Street area in town. So there were several findings in the study. So for our downtown area, the recommendations provided into the study included the installation of a pedestrian crossover at St. David and Ontario Street, increasing our signage for crosswalks, removal or relocation of our concrete planters in the core, additional paint markings, illumination, traffic light maintenance or adjustments, and the additions of barrier curb throughout the downtown. So the operations department is actually implementing several of these recommendations in 2025. We're looking to include the installation of a pedestrian crossover that was included in the budget process this year. Looking into our signage needs, illumination needs. We've relocated some of the concrete planters to improve safety, and looking at adjustments to the traffic lights, which is basically adjusting the do not walk and walk signs at the crosswalks to give more time for pedestrians. Some more long-term recommendations included some barrier curbs, which at this point in time, we feel that it'd be smart for us to consider that when that time comes, when the current state of the downtown core is in a bit of a need of repairs. So for our Francis Street portion of the study, it outlined some recommendations around additional road marking, widening of our crosswalks, and additional signage. So again, the operations department is investigating these options for road paint this year, widening our crosswalks and adding the additional signage as needed here. So overall, this study provided a very beneficial document for the municipality of West Perth that really does revolve around safety for pedestrians in the town. Again, as you heard, we're looking to implement several of these recommendations this year, and also be looking to implement even further in the future. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take those now.
Thanks, Adam. Questions for Adam on this study? It's nice to see you bringing this forward after a couple of years.
Absolutely.
Kind of waiting for it. One question that I have is the lines on the crosswalks. And you didn't mention that, but I think that helps quite a bit when they do, especially if they do the well, I call it crosshatch, but go right across with the diagonal lines on there. It makes the motorists that are coming in realize that, yeah, there is something there. And I don't know whether you've got any plans for that or not.
Absolutely. So through you, your worship, so those hash marks will be included in the actual crossovers. The concrete, I guess, surface in the mid blocks are not technically legitimate crosswalks. So that's why we're getting away from the painting of those sections. And that's the purpose of that PXO crossing at St. David and Ontario. So that's going to alleviate hopefully some of the crossing that's happening in the mid blocks, and we'll have a legitimate crossing there as well as St. George Street.
Thanks. Deputy Mayor, you had a question?
Thanks, Your Worship, through you. Thanks for the presentation, Adam, and the information with the update. So you mentioned that the barrier curbs will be future considerations, which I'm agreeable to. I just find it ironic 10 years ago, when the downtown rebuild was contemplated, the concept was to make the transition from the asphalt to the sidewalk smooth without anyone having to get up over a curb. And then similarly from the sidewalk to a door sill, make that a flat transition as well. I just find it ironic that this consultant says, oh no, you need to put the curbs back in. So I'm glad we're going to just hold off on that idea. So two questions in terms of the short-term plans. I noticed in the report, it talks about taking away parking spaces adjacent to, like, leading up to a crossover and departing from a crossover. So the first question is, are we contemplating taking away any parking spaces at this time?
Through you, Your Worship, so the only spaces that we will be considering are going to be at that intersection at St. David and Ontario. If we find that there is sightline concerns at that crosswalk, we would, the maximum we'd be talking is likely 4 spaces, if that. Potentially 2. So that would be the area that we'd focus on to start. Okay,
thank you. Second question kind of ties in with BIA scope of work. BIA has contemplated and continues to contemplate the idea of closing Poppy Lane. So I just wondered if there was any further discussion with the BIA on this concept. And will that discussion have any impact on your current plans that you're proposing for this year in the downtown area?
So through you, Your Worship, there haven't been discussions as of late. There have been, I would say it's maybe coming on a year ago now, that there was some discussions revolving around that, but the plan to close would not affect anything that we're doing. So it really is a completely separate issue. If that's the direction we choose to go, it's I would say it's easily done if we are thinking we want to move in that direction, but definitely doesn't have any effect on what we're doing now. So
Okay, thank you. And then my last question, shifting the focus over to the Francis Street area. I've observed in the past, particularly afternoons, when school is about to be out for the day, Moran Street is filled with cars, parents that are waiting to pick up their children. So just wondering, in the process of doing the crossover, crosswalk improvements and sidewalk improvements and such on Francis Street, if there was any consideration going to be given to dealing with the traffic on Moran's, because it's got cars parked on both sides of the road and barely enough room for a regular passenger sized vehicle to get down through the center, let alone a larger sized emergency vehicle such as a fire truck or an ambulance.
So through you, your worship, that hasn't been considered at this time. We feel that once these improvements are made, the signage upgrades are done, then we can start to expand that scope a little bit. Right now, we're really solely focused on Francis and creating that safe pedestrian environment in that area. But I think it goes hand in hand that those streets branching off of that will need to be reviewed at a later date.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
James, you have an update on that?
Through the chair, yes, that would be addressed through our parking bylaw. And so staff are looking at potentially making one side no parking to alleviate some of the problems there, as well as looking at some signage updates as well. So those are some of the things we're looking at to try to address.
Any other questions for Adam at this time? Okay, all right. I do have a recommendation here that we have to deal with. So the recommendation is that the Council Municipality of West Perth receives the pedestrian safety review report as information. We have a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Rose, seconded by Councillor Harold. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Thanks, Adam. Okay, the next item is to deal with the Logan landfill, and we have Rich Wright with us tonight to walk us through that one. So Rich, the floor is yours.
Through your worship, I have before me a report for the council, mayor and council. Recommendation is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth approve the permanent closure of the Logan landfill site. The purpose is to provide council with a recommendation to permanently close the Logan landfill. Background here is the Logan landfill is located in the municipality of West Perth on lot 20, concession 12 of the former township of Logan, Ontario. The site has a licensed waste disposal area of 1.94 hectares. The approved capacity for the site is 1,600,850 cubic meters, according to the site's environmental compliance approval. The remaining theoretical capacity is estimated at 1,558,280 cubic meters based on current waste and cover volumes. Although significant capacity remains, groundwater issues and closure related conditions have made the cost of reopening or continued use of this site prohibitively high. The site operated from February 1971 until its temporary closure in October 2011. The site is surrounded by agricultural lands to the north, east, and south. Road 168 borders the site on the west side. Just a little brief history of the closure history. August 2011, council elected to temporarily close the site and direct all waste to the Mitchell Domestic Landfill. October 3rd, 2011, the site was officially closed. January 2012, a formal closure plan was developed. On June 13th, 2012, the ECA was amended to permit interim closure, including provisions for potential reopening. Since then, the Ministry of the Environment, Conservation and Parks has routinely raised the issue of permanent closure during annual inspections. Staff agree that the permanent closure is overdue and aligns with regulatory expectations. Recent groundwater testing has identified leachate contamination migrating south and potentially southwest from the waste fill area. Further investigation is needed to determine the extent of the contamination, including the installation of new groundwater monitoring wells on private property. Monitoring well MW12S has shown intermittent exceedances of chloride. The trigger concentration is 126 milligrams per liter. Since monitoring began in 2009, the fluoride levels have increased, and in the recent past, they've started to decline. We had a investigation conducted by a previous consultant in 2019, which concluded that source of the elevated chloride levels were historic leachate migration from the waste cell relocated in 2010. Although there's a downward trend in the chloride levels since 2018, seasonal fluctuations remain high, with fall events consistently higher than spring events. These results underline the need to take for additional monitoring wells to confirm the continued environmental risk associated with the site. Municipal staff have begun discussions with adjacent agricultural landowner who has set a key condition for allowing access to put a new sampling well on his property, that being the permanent closure of the Logan landfill. With council's direction, staff will need to arrange the preparation of a closure plan with our current consultants and present it to the Ministry of the Conservation or MECP 2 years before the actual closure date. At this point in time, we're looking at this as a 2026 budget item. Once the wells are installed, if contamination is confirmed, the municipality must demonstrate ownership and responsibility for the contaminated groundwater. The most cost-effective method would be the acquisition of groundwater rights. Closing the site now would demonstrate good faith to our neighbor to the south. It would support our current negotiations and align with previous MECP guidance. Given the site's operational history, environmental impacts, stakeholder conditions, and regulatory guidance, staff strongly recommend the permanent closure of Logan landfill. This action will support the ongoing groundwater investigation, satisfy access conditions for private land, align with MECP expectations, and eliminate uncertainty around the future site use. Financially, the closure would have the following budget impacts. Closure plan and topographical work, if required, is an estimated $25,000 in costs and are anticipated for the 2026 budget. There'll be a one-time site preparation, including additional clay and topsoil for contouring and drainage. An estimate of $30,000 will be required in 2026 to support staff time and materials. Ongoing groundwater monitoring is about $21,000 annually, which is already included in the current landfill operating budgets. As of December 31st, 2024, the landfill reserve is $451,429. The reserve supports future capital requirements related to the landfill operations, including site expansion, equipment replacement, and environmental initiatives, such as the implementation of Green Stream composting program. An annual contribution of $25,000 has historically been allocated to this reserve to support long-term capital planning. The reserve may also serve as a potential funding source for a one-time closure-related costs. And there's a bit here about asset retirement obligations. In accordance with public sector accounting standards, municipalities are required to recognize asset retirement obligations for the legal obligations associated with the retirement of a tangible capital asset. West Perth currently records an ARO on its financial statements for the Mitchell domestic and industrial landfills, which reflects estimated future costs related to site closure, post-closure care, including environmental monitoring and maintenance as part of the closure planning process. The municipality will review and update the existing ARO to ensure accurately reflects the scope of work, updated cost estimates, and timelines associated with the landfill's retirement. Any revisions to the ARO will be reflected in the 2026 financial statements in alignment with updated engineering assessments and financial projections.
Very good, Rich. Very good. Questions for Rich on that? Very detailed. No questions? Recommendation that we have to deal with that is that the Council of the Municipality of West Perth approve the permanent closure of the Logan landfill. Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Duck. Any further discussion on this? Nicholas, go ahead.
Mayor McKenzie, since tonight is the first night that we're taking a look at this report, maybe it's prudent to just wait on a decision because we are contemplating a multi-million-dollar asset here and closing this asset. So I think we should just be prudent when we have a discussion. So I'd like to have a discussion around the council table about this asset and the plan for it, unless no one else wants to have it and we're all set. But I would consider that maybe we should consider it carefully because there's no going back once it's closed, and then we can defer it to our next meeting and have some time to think about it.
Okay. Yeah, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Your Worship, I'm just a little bit unsure as to what it is that is left to contemplate on this subject matter. Just if Councillor Vink could expand on his reasoning, please.
In Rich's report, he mentioned that the cost would be prohibitive to open it, and so I was just trying to weigh the pros and the cons myself without that information. And again, I don't have a knowledge of the value of this landfill to know if the cost is prohibitive compared to reopen it compared to the value of the landfill. So without those options, I can't make a decision tonight, not knowing what prohibitive means on a multi-million-dollar asset.
Deputy Mayor again.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Vink, for that explanation. My understanding through discussions at Environmental Services, Chair can correct me if I'm off course, the thought processes were beyond the cost of the asset now. It's the paradigm shifted away from the cost of the asset. It's more to do with the environmental consideration. And as Mr. Wright put in his report, without dealing with the adjacent landowner in a satisfactory manner to their satisfaction, closure is one of the requirements for them to be satisfied that this issue is being dealt with. So I move the motion, the direction, because I'm satisfied that this asset, whatever value it may have as a continuing as a landfill, is insufficient in terms of the environmental impact that it's having. And I'm satisfied. We've had this, I guess, for the benefit of councillors that weren't here in 2015 when this came up as discussion. the adjacent residents were not in favor of continuing with this asset in the function of a landfill. And since then, as Mr. Wright has pointed out, there's environmental concerns. So on those two principles, I'm willing to move this motion in this direction at this time.
Rich, you want to add a little more information?
Yes, please. So in 2012, when the ministry approved and issued the closure plan, it issued a number of requirements that would have to be met before the site could be reopened to accept waste. The first one is to obtain a long-term agreement with sewage treatment plant for disposal of leachate prior to the site reopening. Yes, we have a sewage treatment plant in town. Obtain a permit to take water for the new cell construction. Obtain a section 50 Ontario Water or OWRA approval prior to construction of stormwater management system. So, while I agree that there is a tangible worth to the asset, it is my opinion that the investment required to acquire or to gain benefit from that outweighs the cost of actually keeping the asset. The Logan landfill has a very shallow water table, which means we have to go in and we have to do the same thing that we did at the Mitchell Domestic Landfill in 2011 and 2012. So that means lining it. If we start digging down and end up in the water table, because it's a shallow water table, to do the lining, then all we're doing is generating lots and lots of water that's got to be trucked from the Logan landfill site to the sewage treatment plant here in town. That's wear and tear on roads, especially dirt roads that aren't made for that kind of infrastructure, that kind of equipment. We have to run electricity out there because there has to be some kind of transfer system out there to load trucks. You're looking at, the new cell construction for Mitchell Domestic was somewhere in the area of $12 million. That I believe is the value that you're looking at trying to, that's the starting value that you're looking at to try and upgrade the Logan landfill. Is just, again, in my opinion, it's cost prohibitive. It is definitely, those funds could be far better spent out at the Mitchell Domestic Landfill. We've got an estimate of well over 300 years worth of capacity out there at current filling rates. Yes, the municipality is going to grow, but not that quickly. So, it's not like we don't have capacity for the entire municipality out there. And we need to get those sampling wells installed. This is critical. We are in the position where the ministry is letting us do this ourselves and not bringing down enforcement action to force us. And I gave my word to someone that I would make every effort to fulfill a promise I made to them back in 2015. And again, just to another gentleman this year. I just think it's the right thing to do. And we'll leave it at that.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Steve, you're chair of that committee. Do you have anything further to add?
Not really. Richard covered it all very well in the presentation and with answering the questions. And yeah, we do have a choice, but it weighs heavily one way versus the other. And the closing is the right way to go here.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Have you got your questions answered?
I do, Mayor McKenzie. I appreciate that, the technical information on the cost of opening it back up far exceeds the value.
Right, okay. And I guess, some of us here are more privy to what was going on. If you sit on the water committee and wastewater and landfill, you know what's going on. So, which probably helps to make your decision. Okay, I got to back up. I think it was moved and I think Councillor Duck seconded it. Is there any further questions, comments here? Okay, ready for the question? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you, Rich. Okay, moving on. The next item is the Kennedy drain, or the Kennedy branch of the Downey drain, and consideration of the engineer's report. And we have with us tonight Trevor Kipfer and Michael Seaman from Streamline Engineering. So I will turn the floor over to you and let you do your magic.
Thank you, Mayor Mackenzie and Council. Through your chair, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Michael Seaman, and with me is Trevor Kipfer, and we're from Streamline Engineering based out of Milverton, Ontario. We appreciate and thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and to be providing services for the municipality of West Perth. We were appointed last May to provide for an enclosure on the Kennedy branch of the Downey Municipal Drain. And this drain is located west of St. Columban on Lot 29, Concession 1 in Hibbert. We initially met with the landowner seeking to enclose this channel on May 23rd of 2024. Following the initial meeting, a survey, design, cost estimates, investigations, and coordination with relevant government agencies were all conducted. As this project involves a substantial length of channel enclosure, additional measures were required to be incorporated into the design to satisfy the requirements of the Department of Fisheries and Oceans. Once the scope of the work was finalized, we met with the landowner and discussed the project as a whole, including estimated costs and assessments. So this report recommends the installation of approximately 967 meters of tile. And on the plan on the screen there, you can see the red highlighted dash line and the green highlighted dash line. The red dash line being a 27-inch tile and the green being a 30-inch tile. And this will be used to enclose approximately 950 meters of open municipal drain. Other works included in the design are channel deepening and widening on the Downey drain on lots 29 and into lot 30 of Concession 1 in Hibbert, as well as a riffle structure and stilling basin. The existence of a vital gas main running perpendicular to the Kennedy branch was required that the design was modified to include a larger diameter pipe and at a greater depth than what would have otherwise been necessary. And this was in order to cross underneath that gas main. The total estimated cost was estimated to be $375,100. And of that, construction and investigations is estimated to be $266,000. Allowances of $600. Engineering and construction administration process was estimated at $66,500. Agency requirements, consultation and coordination estimated at $17,000. Miscellaneous costs, including printing, net HST, and interest, was estimated to be $25,000. And all these costs are divided as follows: $322,700 to the private landowner receiving the enclosure, the site of the enclosure. Approximately $40,900 to Enbridge Gas as a Section 26 special assessment. approximately $410 to Huron East owned lands, approximately $890 to Ontario owned lands, Highway 8, and approximately $9,050 to private landowners within Huron East, north of Highway 8, and approximately $1,170 to private landowners within West Perth. Thank you very much. That's all I have at this time.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from members of the council? I know we have a couple ratepayers with us tonight. Any questions with regards to this project? Okay, I can't see any hands going up, so I think we're good. So if there's no questions, we do have a resolution here. And it is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth adopts the engineer's report for the Kennedy branch of the Downey Drain enclosure 2025 as prepared by Streamline Engineering dated April the 30th, 2025. And that Councillor Vink, Councillor Foster, and Huron East Councillor Brenda Dalton be appointed as members of the Court of Revision to be convened on Monday, July the 7th, 2025 at 6:45 PM in the council chambers at the West Perth Municipal Office with Councillor Vink as chair. Do we have a mover and seconder for that motion? Councillor Duck, Councillor Chessel. Last call for questions. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Okay, thank you. I have one quick question, and I should know this, and I think I did maybe look it up. Does this go under the railroad track by any chance?
So through your chair, the tile drain is proposed to outlet upstream of the railroad, and the existing culvert is sufficient to carry the drain flow through the railroad, and then a tile on the downstream side is proposed to pick it up and carry it to the Downey drain.
Okay, I noticed you didn't mention the rail line as receiving any benefit, so that's why I asked. Okay, thank you very much. Good, good. The next one is a section 78, the McNaught drain. And James, I'll let you talk about that one.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Good evening, Mayor McKenzie, members of the council. The municipality has received another request under section 78 for drainage improvements to the McNaught drain located at 6895 line 46. So this drain is specifically located along line 46 between roads 180 and 179. The proposed improvement is for a field level crossing just to allow for better movement of farm equipment across the fields. Tonight, we're recommending that council proceed with the request and appoint K Smart Associates as the engineer. This appointment would take effect 30 days after notice is given this evening to Upper Thames River Conservation Authority unless any objections are received from the CA. I'll pause there and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions on that request? Okay, I don't see any hands going up, so we do have a recommendation here. As James has kind of highlighted, the municipality of West Perth proceed with the request for major improvement to the McNaught Municipal Drain, and that council pursuant to the Drainage Act and subject to any objection from Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, appoint K Smart Associates Limited as the drainage engineer on the date 30 days from the notice of Upper Thames River Conservation Authority for the examination of the drainage works and to proceed with the requirements of the proposed improvement under section 78 of the Drainage Act. We have a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Foster, seconded by Councillor O'Donnell. Last call for questions. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Thank you. All right. Moving on, I think the next one is for our treasurer, and it's with regards to GIS asset. No, it isn't. Sorry, it's Brandon. Sorry, Brandon. It's GIS for asset management update and asset management technical analyst Brendan Tilker. Brendan, the floor is yours. I just call him the bean counter all the time.
through you, the mayor. Good evening, Mayor Mackenzie and council. Through an ongoing partnership between Perth County and the municipality of West Perth, we have been developing a GIS platform to help enhance asset management by providing spatial and data-driven insights. The platform currently includes our bridge and culvert assets, roads, streetlights, and light standards, and then also sidewalks. There are many benefits to using this GIS platform as it provides a comprehensive view of the assets. Some key highlights that I'd like to touch on are that each asset is integrated with a unique ID, and this ensures consistency and seamless cross-platform integration. Every category that we add to the platform features its own customizable dashboard, which can feature different key asset attributes pertaining to each asset category. Staff has the ability to access and update the GIS data. And then we also have added the option to view all of our assets on one map, so we can kind of see how they interact with each other. Going forward, we'd like to aim to incorporate GIS into project workflows just so we can get georeferenced data, which then ensures accurate asset accuracy. And our next steps are to include facility assets and then move on to some linear assets like stormwater, wastewater, and waterworks. So I'd like to give a quick demonstration to show the function and ability of our GIS platform. Just give me a second here to connect. All right. So I'll start with the customizable dashboards. Right in front of you, you can see the bridge and culvert dashboard. So all the dashboards, you can kind of see the little tabs down here for the assets that we currently have loaded into the system. With each dashboard, you start with your map viewer in the center, and then it's surrounded by different attributes that we've chosen to be beneficial as a quick view of the assets. You also can search for asset ID or the structure import ID on this side, just to kind of give some ease to searching for what you're looking for. You have the ability to zoom in, and it's very interactive, whereas the attributes on the side will change based on what's in the viewer screen. You're also able to select an asset, and then a detailed data table specific to just that asset will then pop up with some key highlights. A thing that I had mentioned previously was that we're using a unique asset ID. So that is highlighted right there. And basically, if you're in here looking for an asset and there's more information that you don't see here, you can then take this asset ID and go over to our asset database and pull up the whole profile of that asset. So then furthermore to some of the interactive features, you can select conditions. So if I would like to look at all the very good bridges and culverts, I can do that. And now I'm just seeing all of the very good. You can kind of select multiple to do a comparison. The structure types and all of that will then change based on what you're selecting in the map. I'll show you a quick view of these other ones that we have loaded in here. They're all fairly similar on the sense of what they can do. It's just different attributes that we've added in on the sides. So similarly, I can zoom in on Mitchell here, and I can see the different wattages that we're using. I can see the different types of light styles. And if I'd like to do a search for an asset, I can do that on the side. Roads, same kind of thing, just different attributes. So it's just kind of showing how flexible this platform is with whatever type of attributes we'd like to see on all of these assets. So that's kind of a summary of the dashboards. We did go one step farther and we wanted to include all the assets on one map so you can kind of see how they interact with each other. So I'll take you over to the web experience viewer. This shows all of the assets that we currently have in GIS all on one map. To help with some searching, we've also added little location markers here. So if there's a specific village or hamlet that you'd like to see, we can zoom right in by clicking one of these locations. So if I'd like to see Dublin, do that, it zooms right in for me. In order to make this, all the assets distinguishable from each other, we've implemented symbology here. So the squares will be your bridges, circles are your culverts. These solid lines going through here that are colored, those are your roads. And then let me go over here to Mitchell, I'll zoom in. The dashed lines are your sidewalks, and then the triangles are your streetlights and light standards. So it's very beneficial if we're doing a project somewhere and we'd like to kind of get a quick overview of the assets and their condition in that area. We can just pull up that area on the screen and kind of get a quick view of what's there and then go forward through the asset database if we'd like any more information. But yes, that's a very good summary of what we've been working on in GIS, and I'd be happy to show anybody else if there's something they'd like to see or take any questions.
Thanks, Brandon. Questions for Brandon? Somebody's got to do this. I want you to pick out a street light in Mitchell and tell me when it was put there.
So,
Anyone at all.
so streetlights are a little bit of a different case. Just because we did a retrofit in 2015, we currently have very similar dates for them all, but I could pull up a bridge for you.
Okay.
Here we go. We have Wellington Street Bridge here. I can see the asset ID. I can see the last date that we had a condition assessment done on it. And I can see that it was first in service in 1965.
Okay, very good, very good. A lot of information in short amount of time at your fingertips, really, yeah. Okay. Oh, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you, not a question, but a comment. Thanks to staff for really driving this project and making it happen. We didn't have this level of depth of information 5, 10 years ago, at least when I started on council. We didn't have this information so readily available and up to date. And I guess the point being is good data drives good decision making. So another point of added value for a municipality to be able to better manage our resources and our spending decisions. Thank you.
Any other questions for Brandon? Oops, sorry.
Through the
Phil.
mayor, thanks Brandon for this report here. It's definitely informative. Do you guys have a plan on like the underground infrastructure, like when the streets were redone? Something like that?
Through you, the mayor. So we are working on underground infrastructure next. It's been a little more tricky just because we can't visually see it. So we're working on pulling records and going through shape files and kind of getting that data set ready to go. We're really making sure that we comb through the data before we put it in GIS so that we don't have to back it out and then do more tweaking of the data. So that is our next steps. Stormwater is the next one to come, and that's our kind of our first big overhaul on the underground infrastructure.
Any other questions? We're good. Bill, go
Just
ahead.
one more quick one.
Yeah.
Can we access this or no?
At the moment, it's just available to staff,
Okay.
but I could look into that and get an answer back for you.
Sure.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Right, we do have a recommendation here. Thank you, Brandon, by the way. Recommendation that we have here is the Council Municipality of West Perth receives the 2025 GIS for Asset Management Update Report for information. Moved by Councillor Foster, seconded by Councillor Harold. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. Very good. Next is Human Resources, and we have Sarah Rowe here, and she's going to talk to us about the OMERS eligible review. So, Sarah, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Through the chair, the OMERS eligibility report reviews the option for enrolling council members in the OMERS pension plan. The OMERS guidelines indicate there's 3 options for enrollment for council members in the plan. Option 1, council can choose to enroll the head of council only and no other members. Option 2, council can choose to enroll all council members. Or option 3, we remain status quo and not enroll council or head of council in the OMERS pension plan. Should council wish to enroll, current council members may join voluntarily. However, after the effective date, any new council members, it would be mandatory for them to join the pension plan. The municipality would contribute 9% of taxable earnings to the pension plan. The estimated annual cost to the municipality ranges from $1,176.51 anywhere to $14,755.40 based on council participation levels, and those are based on 2025 salaries. The report recommends maintaining status quo and not enrolling council members in OMERS.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Questions? Councillor Duck, go ahead.
I just want to say thanks, Sarah, for the report. Yeah, initially this was brought to me, or I brought this forward with Dan. We were speaking with some people at Roma, as I've mentioned to everybody. it was brought to my attention and I wasn't quite understanding of how OMERS worked fully at the time. So there was that portion of it too. But, you know, it was meant as something that could be used as a tool to attract better candidates, stuff like that. It's not necessarily the financial gain was the intention that I had with it. So that was kind of what I was asking Dan to look into. And I was hoping that we could get a little bit more information at the time of this presentation as to if other councils were doing it, you know, if it was something that's kind of a one-off or not heard of. And I was kind of looking for a little bit more information before we just decided to not do it. So I was hoping that I could move a motion to ask staff for a little bit more information before we do this. If there's any support for that, if not, then that's my 2 cents.
So I guess the question I would have, Ryan, is like what, and staff will have the same question, like what more or what other information are you wanting?
Yeah, so basically how many other municipalities in the area are potentially doing it, if there's, you know, if staff would find, obviously they don't find a value in doing it for staff, but, you know, I think when he said we spent $370,000 on OMERS last year as a municipality, our ratepayers are paying for, you know, our staff. So, sorry, I'll turn it back over to you. Oh, I was just, at the end of the day, I think I'm preaching to the choir here. I don't think I've got the support, but no, I thought it was a good, the benefit that could be added to council. Some other councils are doing it. He spoke very highly of it and what it can add to attracting candidates, stuff like that. I'm going to leave it there and we'll see what happens.
Okay, Sarah, can you comment on other municipalities, for example, that are maybe doing it? Like, I guess, I do believe, I think the city of London maybe does, but I'm not 100% sure, but I think their council is on OMERS. Are they not? Do you know?
I'm not sure specifically about the city of London. I do know, just at a glance, there's no councillors in Perth County or the immediate area, but I did confirm Fort Erie, Guelph, Owen Sound, Georgian Bluffs. Those are just a few examples of councillors that are eligible.
I'll give you your answer. No? Alec, you got a question too?
Would Georgian Bluffs not be a smaller municipality than ours?
I don't know what.
Isn't that where Dan worked at one
I don't
time?
know. James is maybe going to look it up what their population is. I wouldn't think they would be much larger than us if they are.
Through the chair, as of the 2021 census, it was recorded at 11,100. So you're correct. It would not be much larger than us at all. Very compared.
Yeah, very, very close to our population. Okay, any other questions for Sarah? Okay, I don't see any hands, so I do have a recommendation here. And you can vote for it, or you can vote against it, whatever your wish here, I guess. So the recommendation is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth receives the OMERS eligibility review report for information, and that council approve option 3 as outlined in the report to remain status quo and not enroll council or the head of council in the OMERS pension plan. We have a mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Rose. We have a seconder. Deputy Mayor will second it.
I'll second it to put it on the floor.
Sure. Okay. All right. Further discussion or questions? Phil?
Through the mayor, I think I just need more information of if it's worth it. Like, to me, to put $1,500 away a year for 4 years isn't worth it. But if I'm here for 20 years, is it worth it? Probably. Like, I don't have the answer tonight, so I don't know if we defer it and think about it and come back, or.
Most of us don't have a hydro pension either.
Neither do I.
James? Who? Oh, Councillor Duck, go ahead.
Actually, okay. When I was speaking there, I had asked if I could make the motion a little bit differently, but I think we've already got a motion in a seconder, so I'm going to just withdraw my comment.
Councillor Rose?
What kind of monies would they be speaking of? Say you were on council for 3 terms, which is 12 years. And you were on at 40. So you retire at 65 or whatever. are they speaking any kind of money here or like?
Is that a question you can answer, Sarah?
And I can't do the math off the top of my head for that one, but it is, no, that's okay. So it is just over the $1,100 that's contributed annually. That would be for the counselor and also for the municipality. And OMERS, they do take your best 5 years into account in the equation. So I'm not too sure exactly what the pension would look like.
You said $1,100 a year, roughly, right?
That would be based on a counselor's salary,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So it's less than $100 a month, really. Counselor Duck?
My question is there is if we were to opt to do option 2 and opt in and felt compelled, could we basically give back that benefit we're getting to the taxpayers in a way, one way or another? Like, is there some sort of, you know, if it's 1,100 or 1176.51, is there a way that if we felt compelled, we could then donate that back as salary or something that we could do so that we're not actually getting the benefit from the town, from the taxpayers directly? Obviously that's how OMERS is funded, but I'm curious if there's ways around it that it's not actually the $14,000 a year that taxpayers are paying, or if that's how it goes and that's the way it is. Like I'm saying, like, if I could get the $1,100 benefit, but then pay that back out of the salary, so I could still be eligible for OMERS, but not cost the town taxpayers any extra additional dollars, is what my whole point of this was. And we talk about $1,100 a year for 12 years, 4 years, 5 years, 40 years. Any sort of money adds up over a course of time. And you know, whether it's, you're not going to retire off it. That's not the goal here. The goal is not to have a steady income when we all turn 65. We're not doing any of this for that reason. It was a benefit that's been given to all municipalities that's eligible for all workers, and counselors are the only ones that are not eligible. Sorry, counselors are the only ones that are not taking part in it. So my thought was that if there was, like I said, a way that we can contribute, not be an additional tax burden to the taxpayers, but still get some sort of benefit, that was where I was going with it. And that's what I'd like to see happen.
No, that's okay. Thank you for the question. It was a good question. I don't have that information at this time, but I could look into it.
Okay. Anybody else? Steve?
Yeah, I think we have a few questions that we don't have answers for. This is all, you know, we've only seen this proposal for a couple of days. Some of us don't know a whole heck of a lot about OMERS and how it works and, you know, choosing the best 5 years or whatever, however you worded that. Like, there's some things that we don't know about it. I would be in favor of deferring this at some point so that we understood it better to make a better decision, a better educated decision, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I think Dan is online here, and I think he was maybe going to have a comment as well. So Dan, if you're still there and can hear us.
Yeah, I was just gonna say to the to Councillor's Duck question about kind of giving it back or donating it back. I mean, at the end of the day, once you start drawing your pension, you'd essentially be having to make donations back to the municipality. There's no other way to transfer it that way. So the money would still all go into your account, and whatever interest would be earned, right? There'd have to be some assumption made that way. But if you looked at the timeline from Councillor Rose, you know, you're talking about $30,000, give or take, on interest then. So you'd have to just basically donate it back once you start drawing your pension.
I think I just wanted to clarify for you, CEO Hobson, I wasn't speaking about drawing from the actual pension itself. That's not something you can do until you're 65. What I was saying is basically if, for simple math, if $100 came off my paycheck for June and West Perth matched 100, what I'm suggesting is taking $100 out of my paycheck, and then I don't want to use donating, or I don't know if that's the proper word, but I'm saying nothing to do with the OMERS. But if I'm getting $100 per month in benefit from West Perth, is there a way that I can then just take $100 out of my bank account and then give it back somehow? Is the question I'm asking. Not anything to do with the OMERS pension. I understand that stays there till you're 65.
Yeah, you'd essentially just be making a donation. I understand that, but you wouldn't be recouping that $100 until you start drawing your pension at 65. So does that make sense?
Yeah, correct. And I think we all realize we're not doing it for the $100. a mini point. It was the long-term effect, but yeah. My whole thing was I didn't want the taxpayers to have any additional financial burden by us taking this on, but still having a program that we can take benefit for. So we'll leave it there.
Anybody else? Did we get a mover and seconder for that or no? Okay, so to carry on then, we do have a mover and seconder for the motion that I read. And do I need to read it again? No, we're good on that. I can read it. Yeah, I'll read it again. So the recommendation is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth receives the OMERS eligibility review report for information, and that council approve option 3 as outlined in the report to remain status quo and not enroll council or the head of council in the OMERS pension plan. And it's been duly moved and seconded. Ready for the, yeah, I got a frog in my throat here. Ready for the question? All those in favor of the motion? Okay, let's just see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you get 6? Well, I thought Fournier had his hand up. Clearly. Andrew, was your hand up or not? Oh, okay, so then
Perhaps call the question.
let's call the question again. All those in favor and put your hands up really high. So this is in favor of the motion. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, those opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion fails. It was a tied vote. Okay. All right. Thank you, Sarah. Andrew, or Alex, sorry.
So can we vote to defer this at this time then? To, I don't know, like, I know traditionally council, or at least when I started, we had our closed session meeting on this type of discussion when we first began. Would it be appropriate to postpone this until that time for the next council or something like that? And have the discussion then when it's a new council or new faces or something of that nature?
James is going to comment on that.
Through the chair, we can certainly bring back further information for council. What we would look to clarify here is exactly what information you'd like us to bring back in a future report so that we can bring that to you and help, with future decision making here. So any outstanding questions based on discussion from this evening, I've noted the comparator data information. If there's any additional information that council is seeking, please let us know at this time.
Okay. So ideally, if you were going to do it, probably start it with the next term of council. And, if you were going to have to start it, that would be the logical time to do it. But have the discussion at that time. Well, okay. See, I'm not worried about a pension because James said he was going to adopt me. So I'm counting on that. Oh, sorry, Councilor Duck.
Yeah, I'm looking, just for clarity, are we looking to defer this to a later meeting or to a later council?
My guess, and we can clarify it, I guess, Ryan, if you wish, but I would think it would come probably just before the new term of council would come in. And that would be an option that they would have then, right?
Through the chair, certainly as part of council's decision, you can decide when to bring it into effect. So you can, consider that when we bring information back as to when, if this is something council is considering implementing for all of council or the head of council, when they'd like that implementation to be effective. So that's council's decision.
So we're just kind of sending it to the abyss and going to leave it there for whenever. Not setting a date on it. Like I feel like we do this a lot. We defer things and then we don't talk about them again. And I'm just curious if maybe we should set a date on it or just end it today, because just adding things to the next council is not necessarily a beneficial thing to anyone, I don't think.
Through the chair, if council would like to provide some direction as to specifically when they'd like to see that information back, we'll have it back to you at that time.
Would September meeting be acceptable to everybody?
You want a motion for that direction? Let's take it as direction. Staff come back with a further report in September.
we still do need some clarification as to what you want us to report on. We have the comparator information. We can provide a chart that shows what municipalities in Ontario offer this currently, and any other information you'd like that report to include.
Okay, very good. Direction taken.
Yeah, we're looking for direction.
Well, Steve?
Does OMERS provide like a brochure or anything like that with some information? Like someone like myself, I don't know
Sure.
much about OMERS at all.
Through the chair, thank you, Councillor Harold. That is helpful. That sounds like you're asking for general information about the pension plan, and certainly that's information we can bring to you in some form of there's OMERS workshops out there. We can do a mini version of that in some form to provide some more information as part of that. Thank you.
And that would work for you, Ryan?
Yeah, I think so. I sometimes think with the Friday agenda to the Monday meeting, we just don't all have enough time sometimes to digest everything, especially working full time. So I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone's cooperation and working together on this. So thank you.
Okay, so timeline, September? Okay, so we'll look for something from staff in September. Councillor Phelps.
Just a comment. Again, I tried to get hold of my accountant, he's gone. I just wondered what the implications are, tax, all that stuff. And so I didn't vote either way because I'm really not sure how it affects me personally. With everybody has a full-time job. Well, not everybody, but I mean, most of us have another line of income that we look at, and this is just another implication on that. And so it's just getting the information. And again, I'm not involved with OMERS either, so I really don't know. So it'd be nice just to have a little more information on that and just see what the implications are, because your best 5 years is 12 years down the road. You got to take into account there might be a couple of increment increases there and some things like that. And so what does that do if you are here 12 years or 30 years or, yeah, just comment.
Councillor Rose?
I thought after 71, we weren't allowed to participate anywhere, correct? So. I'm just talking about the money, honey.
Okay. I think that's why you look for somebody to adopt you. Okay, let's move on then. And we'll get an update on that later on. The next one, I guess, is Dan's Upper Thames Scheme 43 agreement. And Dan, you feel well enough to fill us in here?
Yes, so before we're just looking, before council tonight, we're looking for a direction to have the mayor and clerk enter into a new Scheme 43 agreement with Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. As we've kind of noted in the report, it's a historical agreement that we've gone through and updated. We've included the agreement and the best management practices there. Essentially, there's really no changes to the municipality or the relationship that way. There's just been clarification on some things that have been done. One of those examples is mentioned with West Perth Village, where we're essentially kind of subletting the care and control of those floodplain lands to them. So just some aspects like that and updated language. If there's any questions, I can try and answer them, but hopefully that'll cover it for council.
Questions for Dan? I don't see any hands going up, Dan, so I think you're good. So we do have a recommendation here. And the recommendation is that the Council of Municipality of West Perth directs the mayor and clerk to sign and seal all necessary documents for the new Scheme 43 agreement with Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. Mover and seconder for that, please. Moved by Councillor Duck, seconded by Councillor Foster. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. So, thank you. Correspondence listed there, Optimist Club of Mitchell, a thank you letter. Federation of Agriculture, their position on urban expansion. firefighters, their annual boot drive and the locations thereof. And Upper Thames River Conservation, the Fullerton Dam Rehabilitation Class Environmental Assessment Notice of Completion. Question, Nicholas, go ahead.
Should we as a council comment on the comment to that environmental assessment?
Looking at James.
Or do we have a conversation through a different method?
So through the chair, to be clear that this is a notice of completion of the environmental assessment, that's taken place. So they've completed that EA process. Now they're looking for comments on the completed EA. So certainly members of council, or if council directs, the municipality can make a submission on behalf, but essentially it's out there to the public, and it's available for councils, members of the public, anyone who's interested to make comments with respect to that completed EA study. And just looking at dates in front of me, but yeah, they're going to be accepting comments up until July 9th on that end of things. So I'll leave it there and turn it back to council. Thank you.
And because one of the informations that was delivered was a range of alternative solutions through the process. So should we as council comment on those solutions on what best would suit us, I guess, from a municipal perspective?
Yeah, it seems to me, Dean, maybe you can help here, but we had this discussion, I think, didn't we, around this table, and we were out to the site on a road tour, and we came to the conclusion that of what way we thought it should happen. And, you know, I guess we can restate that to them if that's what you wish, and maybe put that in a letter form, James, and bring it back that we can have a look at it and then get the approval to send it on. I'm guessing here, Dean?
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to declare a conflict as I am the chair of Upper Thames, and I don't want to be involved in any decision one way or the other on the comments. I'm going to excuse myself from the chambers.
Okay.
So through the chair, I'll do my best here, because I'm coming in without the context of what this council's discussed with respect to the Fullerton Dam to date. But what I can say is this is simply a notice of the EA study. So that's what they're asking for comments on at this time. To comment about, you know, the municipality's preferred route in terms of dealing with the water course there or dealing with the long-term vision for the Fullerton Dam conservation area. I'm not sure that that's what this is getting at this time. It certainly connects to that decision, but this is to the EA. And so I guess to that end of things is staff can certainly bring back a letter, or we can certainly prepare a letter on behalf of council, but we need to know what you want to say in that letter because it's specific to the environmental assessment. So we would need to know. I wouldn't be prepared to bring a report back with a proposed letter because I don't know what you want that letter to say because it's detailed with respect to the environmental assessment and the position there. So if this council takes a position on the environmental assessment explicitly, we can provide that position to Upper Thames. I don't know if I've helped or hindered there or been very clear at all, but
Dan, I'm going to throw you under the bus here maybe, but do you recall correspondence that we had with them previously? Like we did have an option that we wanted out there that we thought was the best way to go. And I assume we responded with our thoughts on that. Then there would be some correspondence to that.
Yeah, correct. So in February, council had made motion to proceed with the notice, filing this notice of completion report, as well as council endorsed option 4, but it was in the event of 75% grant funding is achieved. And then staff received direction to work with West Perth and UTRCA to pursue the grant funding resources. So we have endorsed option 4 already this year with them.
Okay, so I don't know, do we need to do any more?
Maybe not. Maybe then we've made our position quite clear then, so we don't need to comment on the range of other alternative solutions, I don't think.
Sorry if I can, your worship. I would agree. I think you've made it clear and it's kind of at the staff level, and this is just a notice, and this is kind of a process that has to go through for the environmental assessment. So we are working with Upper Thames on the dams, both Mitchell and Fullerton, and trying to gauge timelines and basically manage budget impacts and expectations as we look forward to 2026 and beyond.
Okay, so Alex, go ahead.
From what I remember of the meeting I went to that they had on the dam, there was a group, they were also, I think option 4 was the removal of the dam just in its entirety and just let it return to a natural water course. I believe that was where they were headed towards, and they were just, the environmental assessment was to make sure there was no major concerns with that. And I don't believe there was any that was preventing it that they found. So I really don't think we'd have any comments to that nature, because I don't think there's anything obstructing the route that we'd like them to take.
Okay, so from what Dana said and Alex said, I don't know if we really need to do anything with regards to this, and I think we just carry on. Okay. Well, somebody, Phil, do you want to get Dean? I think he just stepped outside. Oh, he was out, somebody was out at the door there. I don't know. Okay. We just have a motion here to accept correspondence as information. So moved by Councillor Duck and seconded by Councillor Foster that we accept correspondence as information. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. All right, and then we have a couple other items that came in under correspondence as well. The Broadhager Chamber of Commerce, the information was in your packet there about Canada Day fireworks on June the 29th. I don't know if there's any further discussion on that. We do have a recommendation, and they had asked if we would contribute a donation for the fireworks. And I think it's the only fireworks that's happening in West Perth. Like, there's nothing in Mitchell, I don't believe. Doug?
Just, and sorry, I know when we did homecoming, one of the insurance questions was, is a qualified pyrotechnician doing the fireworks if we do them? Otherwise, they wouldn't cover us for liability. So who's covering this and who is operating the fireworks would be my question.
That's a Dan question?
Or I'll take a crack at it through the chair. So Broadhagen will be running the fireworks, so they'd be looking after it. It would not be municipally run in any way. So essentially, it's the Broadhagen group looking after putting on the entire event, and the municipality would simply be donating $1,000 towards it. So I don't have the specific details about who they're using or what that looks like for Broadhagen, because it is that group doing it, not the municipality. So haven't answered all your question, but that's part of it.
We could defer it for a little more information, but it'd be running tight if we do it in our second meeting in June. Just looking for direction here. Councillor Duck?
I'd move the motion the way it's wrote anyway.
Your worship, sorry, we did go through this last year because of 150. It brought that to light, so we did bring that forward to chamber as well to check with their insurance provider and make sure that they're covered under everything. So I believe we did state that explicitly in the motion last year as well.
So do we need to add that to this motion?
I don't think you do. We can certainly advise them that they should do that. We know it's been noted, and we'll recall that from last year.
All right, thanks, Dan. So the motion, I'll read the motion the way it is. And it's already been moved and seconded, but I'll read it just so everybody's on the same page here. So that the municipality of West Perth approves the request from the Broadhaven Chamber of Commerce to host their Canada Day fireworks on June the 29th, 2025, and that council grant Broadhaven Chamber of Commerce an exemption to the noise and nuisance bylaw 61, 2024 in accordance with section 6, and that council approve the funding request in the amount of $1,000 for the Canada Day fireworks. So it was moved by Councillor Duck and seconded by Councillor Foster. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. The Perth Huron Crossroads family of parishes requesting a road closure. Fairly straightforward. They want to close, trying to think of the street. I guess it's Nelson Street, is it? Basically from the church down towards Tom Heath, and then they're coming down into the park. And the times were there in the information. So the recommendation that we have is that the council of the municipality of West Perth approve the request from the Perth Huron Crossroads family of parishes to close Nelson Street between Blenheim Street and William Street from 10 to 11 a.m. and Blanchard Street from Park Lane through to the Lions Park up to Nelson Street from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Sunday, June the 22nd for an outdoor mass and parish picnic. Mover and seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Fournier, seconded by Councillor Rose. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, that's carried. We do have a number of bylaws. The first bylaw, we just need third reading on it, and that's bylaw number 12 for the Murray McIntosh Municipal Drain. And then bylaw 31 is to stop up and close a portion of Ann Street in Dublin. And zoning bylaw 309 is to amend bylaw 100 as amend a property legally described as part of lot 18 concession 1 of Logan Part 1, 44R 6181 in the municipality of West Perth. So now we've got it pulled out here so that the recommendation is that the municipality of West Perth give first and second reading to bylaw 31, zoning bylaw 309 this second day of June. Mover and seconder for that. Councillor Phelps and Councillor Foster. All those in favor? I don't lose my voice here yet. All those opposed? That is carried. And then the final one is third reading, and it includes bylaw number 12 for third reading, 31, and zoning bylaw amendment 309 this second day. Mover and seconder for the third reading. Councillor Duck and Steve has his hand up. Councillor Harold. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. A number of, I'm going to take a drink here. What's that? Oh, one event to add. Go ahead, James.
Well, thank you through the chair. Just as we get to this list of upcoming events, I did want to note one omission from myself, which was June 8th, the Moncton Firefighters Breakfast is taking place. So we'll reflect that in the minutes, and that's another upcoming event to draw your attention to. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Thanks, James. So we have the Mitchell Coyotes Slow Pitch Tournament, June 6th to 8th, which is this weekend. June the 7th is the Carter Schoonerwood Memorial Walk and Run in the Lions Park. The 9th is the Outdoor Family Games Night in the tennis courts at 6 o'clock. The 12th is Music in the Garden with the Legion Band, again, at the tennis courts. The qualifier tournament in Ketterson Park is the 13th to the 15th. As was mentioned earlier tonight, the Henry Street Tunnel Art Project is June the 13th. The boot drive, as was mentioned earlier as well, is on the 14th. The Mitchell Optimus Youth Safety on Wheels is at the Crystal Palace parking lot on the 14th. Music in the Park with Chris Mabb is on the 15th. The 16th is our next council meeting, and the 19th is Music in the Gardens with Alicia Borsenbosch. And that's also in the gardens, but it's at the tennis courts. So those are the upcoming events, plus the one that James mentioned. I don't know of any notices of motion. I don't know of any other business at this time. We don't have a closed session tonight. So that brings us down to the confirmatory bylaw. And the bylaw 32 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth be read a first and second time this second day of June. Mover and seconder for the confirmatory bylaw, moved by Councillor O'Donnell, second by Councillor Bink. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And third reading for the confirmation bylaw, that bylaw 32 be a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of West Perth be read a third time and finally pass the second day of June. Mover and seconder for that, Councillor Harold, Councillor Rose, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And finally, motion to adjourn at 9:05. Mover and seconder for that. Councillor Rose, Councillor Foster, that we do adjourn. All those in favor? Opposed, if any?